Giveaway time. I am announcing the winner to my last video's giveaway. If you are new to my channel, hello, my name is V. I post nail tutorials every Thursday and Sunday at 8:15 a.m. Central Time. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on your post notifications so you do not miss out on future videos, as I do insert giveaways in them randomly. For today's winner, I am going to be sending you 3 of the not polished acrylic powders. I don't have them with me, but I know one of them is Pink of You. The other one is Last Love, and I can't remember what the third one is, but they are a few of my favorite colors, so I hope you enjoy them. Along with that, I'm sending you a duo pack. This is from Not Polish as well. It comes with a matching nail polish and a matching gel polish. If you are not familiar with their stuff, they have duo packs and trio packs. The trio pack comes with these 2 along with a matching acrylic powder as well, which I think is genius, and I do really like them. And then I'm also going to be throwing in a Glossit, which is their shiny top coat, and I love, love, love. Our winner for today's giveaway is... Congratulations. Make sure you message me and I will get that sent out right to you. If you are a winner to one of my giveaways, make sure you message me within 24 hours or your prize will be forfeited. That being said, I am doing my right hand using my left hand, and I'm going to be showing you guys exactly how I do that, exactly how I achieve the semi-perfect nails even though I am right-handed. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope you guys learn a lot from it. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. Getting right into today's video, I am just briefly showing you guys what I have on my nails. The left hand is from my previous video, and that will be linked in the cards if you guys are interested in watching that. I'm going to be showing you guys exactly how I transition my short almond nails into long nails. I am going to be doing a in-depth video on how I do my acrylic application, removal, backfill with my non-dominant hand. As many of you guys may know, I am right-handed, but because I've done so many sets on myself with my left hand, I have gotten to the point where I can successfully do my nails exactly how I do it with my dominant hand. So getting right into it, I went ahead and clipped the excess nail. I don't like seeing any growth at all whatsoever. That's why I cut them down. If you don't mind it, go ahead and leave them. But now that they are all cut down, I am going in with my hand file. This is my Tammy Taylor peel and stick file. You can find it in my Amazon storefront. And I am going to start debulking that product. So normally you would do this using an e-file, but because I'm doing it with my left hand, and I definitely don't have the capacity of filing correctly with my e-file, I'm gonna use my hand file instead. I have way more control of my hand file, and I can assist my filing process using my right hand. Because I am right-handed, I have more control of my right hand. Therefore, I'm going to be keeping my hand file as sturdy as possible. I don't know if you can tell because, you know, when you file, you do apply pressure and it makes it move, but I'm trying to keep it as still as possible in one spot. And what I'm doing is moving my right hand instead of moving my file. Now I do move my file from time to time depending on what area I'm trying to get in, but for the most part I'm trying to keep it as straight as possible. And the crazy part of this process is that you will be surprised at how fast you can move your right hand when you're doing this. This is real time and I'm not speeding it up. I did just cut out a few parts that weren't necessary, or if my coworkers come and talk to me, I get distracted and I'll like stop. So any of those little areas I did cut off, but this is how fast I'm filing using my right hand. I'm just gonna go ahead and continue to move from side to side. You don't want to stay in one spot because that can cause a heat spike, and when I tell you it hurts, it definitely hurts. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of just let you guys watch the rest of this. Now that I'm done debulking that product, I'm going to go ahead and start prepping my nail for my acrylic application. Because this already has acrylic, I'm going to be focusing on any lifting that I have, and then I'm going to etch the nail gently with my hand file and prep for that acrylic application. So I'm taking my hand file and I'm going to be focusing on that lifting first. When I'm removing lifting with my hand file, really with your e-file as well, but because I'm using my hand file in this video, you want to remove the lifting on the acrylic. I'm trying to stay away from the natural nail as much as possible until I'm ready to etch that, because that can cause overfiling. As you can see, I am lifting my hand file off of the nail constantly because I don't want it to heat spike. Every time you lift it off of that surface, it's going to relieve any heat or warmness that has accumulated from filing, and it's going to allow the nail to cool down, and then when you go into file again, it is cool enough to where it's not going to heat spike. So I didn't want this part to take forever, so I went ahead and switched from my hand file to my e-file, and I'm gonna go ahead and prep the nails using that. So a quick little tip whenever you're working on yourself, technically when you are working on a client, you have both of your hands. So you have one hand doing the filing and then the other hand is holding the finger in place and assisting you essentially in the process. So whenever I'm working on myself, especially with my non-dominant hand, I like to set my hand down in a sturdy position, which typically is on my table. But because I wanted to show you guys this process, I am using an acrylic container and just placing it underneath and then using that as my stabilizer. So as you can see, it helps me have that sturdiness underneath the finger while still being up higher where I need the finger to be. You do want to make sure you sanitize that container before you put it back in your drawer, because you definitely don't want any of your dust on there. Now that I'm done with that process, I'm going in with my needle bit and I'm going to be doing more of an in-depth prep and making sure that I remove all the gunk out of the cuticle area. This does such an amazing job at that. I freaking love this bit. I'm going to go ahead and repeat that on the rest of the nails. Now I'm taking my cuticle ball bit and removing any excess skin from the cuticle area. I don't like to use nippers, and if you don't have an e-file, you can definitely use nippers for this step. I just personally am terrified of them and definitely wouldn't be able to do it with my left hand probably. So I am just using this instead of that and gently buffing off any skin that I do not want. And this does do a really good job at that. I have my e-file for all of my prep at about 4,000 RPM. Sometimes I go down to 3. Once I'm done with my prep, I'm going in and taking my lint-free wipe and some swipe. You can also use alcohol for this step and gently remove any dust and extra nastiness from the natural nail. This works as a dehydrator and I love it. So I'm going in and taking my forms. I'm rolling it and making sure that it's nice and flexible to adhere to my nail. And I'm going in, placing it under the natural nail. Then I'm going to be pinching that in the tip area and then securing that onto my finger. And these forms are from Amazon. They are linked in my Amazon storefront under the album Nail Essentials. I love these, and the fact that they are freaking long is a definite plus for me. I am going in now with my Protein Bond. This is from Young Nails, and this is my primer. I wanted to show you guys these brushes. I got 2 new brushes from Not Polish. One is in the size number 12, and the other one is a number 14. As you guys are aware on my channel, I normally use an 8 or a 10. So I was like, ooh, I'm turning into a big girl. So I am actually going to be using the 12 because I'm terrified of the 14. So a really good thing is also that it is not wooden. It has like a stainless steel, maybe aluminum. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely a metal. And that's always good when working with monomer and acetone, as you don't want the wooden handle to be damaged. So that's always a plus. I'm just going ahead and prepping my brush, and I just flattened it out a little bit, and then I placed it into my monomer, kind of wiped it off a few times, and that should be good to go. I'm just comparing it to my the Profile Backstage brush, and the difference in size isn't too crazy, so I think I should be good. So I'm gonna go ahead and start my acrylic application. I'm taking a medium-sized bead of acrylic, and I'm placing that on the free edge of the nail, and then I'm going to start building out that extension. So normally when I'm doing my sculpting, I want to make sure that I am shaping that nail from the beginning. I'm not just throwing the acrylic on there and kind of praying for the best. I'm making sure that I'm patting it down firmly while also keeping the sides nice and tight onto the side walls of the nail, but also keeping that shape perfectly straight. I want to make sure that I'm laying my acrylic as perfect as possible, so at the end I don't have to be doing too much filing, and this also helps with the consistency of the shape. So I'm trying to do my best to do this as perfect as possible since I am doing it with my left hand. And then I'm just going ahead and adding more acrylic to that tip. And again, continuing to extend that length while keeping the shape nice and perfect. And I want to blend that out into the existing acrylic that I already applied. So I like to do the tip first, because then you can just build off of that. So this is your foundation, and then you're applying the thickness, the apex, and all of that good stuff over top of that. It essentially is like a plastic tip. You're using that thin layer of acrylic in place of that. So that's basically what I'm going to be doing. Now that I'm done building out my extension, I'm going to go ahead and start applying the thickness of the nail and making sure that it is nice and beautiful. So I'm starting off with that middle section and applying a bead to that, and then I'm blending it down towards the tip because it is harder to blend upwards into the cuticle area with my left hand. I'm focusing on the tip first, and then once I get to the cuticle area, I'll be able to just place that bead in the cuticle area, lightly push it up, and then blend it down. Now my pinky is always my hardest to do with my left hand. As you can see, the powder started running everywhere. So I had to do a lot of cleaning up, and that's perfectly fine as long as I do clean it up really good so that it doesn't start lifting extremely quick. Once I'm content with that, I'm going in and applying the form to my nail on my ring finger. Again, I'm ripping it open and then I'm rolling it so that it's a little bit more flexible. And I'm going to be applying that, trying to do it as neat as possible. My ring fingers on both of my hands are slightly curved in, so this does make it kind of tricky to get either the tip or the form on to where it looks straight. I've never been able to master it just because of the way that I'm doing it on myself. It's just really hard to get it straight. So I did try to angle it a little bit more to the right, but you can still tell it's curved. So I'm just placing it on there as snug as possible, and then I'm going to be closing that up, and I'm going to be starting my acrylic application. I am priming at this point, placing a light coat of protein bond just on the natural nail, and then I'm kind of drying out my bead just a little bit so that it doesn't run everywhere. This helps get that consistency a little bit thicker. I'm not focusing on blending it out too much. I'm focusing on it not running everywhere, and I'm focusing on keeping that shape nice and straight. As you can see, I definitely could have done a better job blending it out, but I can always make up for that. Instead of having to file at the end, I like to make sure that I apply my acrylic nicely. Now I'm going to start adding the thickness to that nail, again starting in that middle section, dragging it down. So I did want to give you guys quick little tips on how I do my nails using my left hand. So one thing I don't show in my videos a lot of the time is that I actually pick up my acrylic bead using my right hand, and then I switch my brush over to my left hand. I don't think I'll ever be able to master the liquid to powder ratio using my left hand, so instead of struggling with that, I just go ahead and do my normal, picking up my bead with my right, switch it over quickly to my left hand, and then start applying it that way. Use your right hand as much as possible, or your left hand, depending on which one is your dominant hand, to assist you. Once I'm ready to apply it on my middle finger, I go ahead and remove the forms on the previous finger just so it doesn't get in the way. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys watch this, and I will be back on here whenever I need to. Now that I'm done with my acrylic application, make sure everything is nice and dry. And I'm going in with my Tammy Taylor peel and stick file. This is my favorite hand file, and I'm going in and starting to shape those nails because I tried to perfect my acrylic application. It doesn't require too much filing. So I'm really just going in and making sure everything is nice and straight on the sides and the tip. And then I'm going in on the entire surface of the nail and filing that, making sure that the transition from the cuticle area down to the tip is nice and straight, and just making sure I'm getting rid of any ridges or anything like that. And of course, you want to make sure you're moving all over the nail, making sure that you're not staying in one spot consistently. Do not get that nail to heat spike. So I'm just going to go ahead and repeat that on the rest of the nails. Again, file the sides and then the surface of the nail and then the tip. Now, once I'm done filing the surface and everything is nice and smooth, I'm gonna go ahead and just square off the nails by filing the tip. This is extremely important just to pull everything together and making sure that the shape is nice and perfect. So I'm just taking my file and holding it slightly horizontal, and then I'm moving my hand to assist that. I'm trying to keep my left hand as straight as possible, and then I'm just using my right hand to file. Now you can absolutely file the cuticle area with your hand file as well. I just have more control with my e-file because I'm used to that. If you want to file the cuticle area with your hand file, you can absolutely do that. And you want to make sure that you are blending the acrylic to the natural nail as much as possible, making sure that it's nice and flush so that you don't get any lifting. If you have too much product in that area, it can snag and cause lifting. So making it nice and flush helps with that. Once I'm done with that, I'm going in with my sponge buffer from Profiles Backstage, lightly buffing the surface of the nail. It makes them so smooth, and I definitely want that as I'm going to be doing some nail art on the surface of these nails. Now I'm dusting off any dust, and then I'm taking my lint-free wipe and some swipe and cleansing the surface just to remove the additional dust. And this also helps prepare the nail for the nail art. Now I'm going in to my nail art. I'm taking this nail art brush from Profiles Backstage. It is super skinny, which I love for detailed stuff. And then I'm taking my white gel paint. You want to use a gel paint that has a tacky layer because I am going to be using my neon pigments, and you need that tacky layer so that that pigment adheres to it nicely. So I'm going in and gently drawing a flame onto my middle finger. I had no idea what I was doing on this hand. I just knew that I wanted to do something different than what I did on my left hand for my birthday nails, but I also wanted it to match. So I was like trying to think of something that I haven't done, and one of the things that I've been wanting to do and haven't done was a flame, the ombre ones. So I was like, okay, let me give it a go. And I'm trying to draw it as neat as possible. There was some squigglies, but it's totally fine. It's a flame, right? So I'm going in and just outlining it first, and then I'm going to start filling it in very gently, trying not to get outside of that outline. And then I got to this point right here, and I was like, it's a little bit too thick on that area. So I tried fixing it, and then I was like, no, this isn't gonna look right. I definitely want it to be skinnier. So I'm taking my 3D nail art brush, dipping it in some alcohol, and gently cleaning up that area. As you can see, that makes a huge difference. Like, you have to be extremely careful and pay attention to that detail. If I would have left it thick, it kind of would have looked funny. So I was not taking the chance of it looking ridiculous and having to start all the way over. So I went ahead and cleaned it, and it did definitely make it look a lot better. And I'm just adding in those tiny little details. And then on the other side, I'm just going to be closing it off into the cuticle area. And I'm just filling in the rest of that. And of course, I'm going to be placing that in the light for at least 30 seconds. I want it to be nice and cured, but I also want that tacky layer to be on the surface of it. Once it's out of the light, I am going in with my neon pigments. I went ahead and took them all out. I'm going from pink to orange to yellow to green. So in order to get your ombre to nicely transition, what I'm going to be doing is placing that pink first. And I'm doing that on the cuticle area. And then I'm mixing orange with pink because those are going to be the ones that are blended together. And then I'm going to be placing that right after the pink. It's going to help kind of just blend the colors together. If you take your time to do this, it makes a huge difference. So I'm trying to blend that out lightly. So we're going from pink to like a peachy pink, and then to orange, and then to a orangey yellow, to a yellow, and then a green. Now I am dusting off any excess pigment, and then I'm going in with Gloss It from Not Polish and applying top coat to that. I want to make sure that I'm adding that protective layer so I don't mess it up while I'm doing my other nail art, especially because I had no idea what I wanted to do and I was going to be digging through my drawers. I didn't want to mess it up. So I went ahead and applied top coat, cured it in the light, and then I decided on just doing colored tips. I don't know if you guys have seen this around, but I have been the biggest fan of it since I saw it, and I was like, that's such a cute little extra touch. So instead of being basic, I was like, let me do some orange. I love orange, it's been my favorite. And then my phone decided to run out of storage, so it stopped recording and it didn't notify me. So it went from me applying that just to the tip. I went ahead and cured it in the light, and then I started applying the pigments to it. I'm sorry that got cut off, but this is basically what they look like. I'm dusting off any excess pigment, and then I'm gonna go ahead and start top coating. Again, I'm using Gloss It from Not Polish. This is my favorite. It is super shiny and it lasts so long. I'm gonna apply a thin layer of that onto the surface of all of my nails, making sure I am lightly capping the tip of it so that that pigment or nail art does not chip off. Don't need ask for them, show love, show love. Ooh, take it back to when nobody. And I do like curing it in the light for 2 minutes just to be safe. You only have to do 1, but I like to do 2. And then I am taking it out of the light and adding my favorite cuticle oil to my cuticles. It melts into your skin so nicely and it doesn't leave it super shiny. And it smells so good, so I do recommend it 1000%. That basically concludes today's video. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think down below. I hope you guys enjoyed it and I hope you guys learned a lot from today's video. But I will catch you guys next time. I was just chilling with my homies. Now that we're poppin'.